forbidden love affairs that could destroy a kingdom in the Middle Ages. Tonight, we are going to talk about love. Not gentle love. Not the simple love of a village couple sharing bread by the hearth. Not the steady love of a husband and wife who have worked the same fields for 30 years and know the exact sound of each other's tired breathing. Not the poetic love of a knight singing beneath a window, though that will appear nearby, looking dramatic and causing trouble. Tonight, we are going to talk about dangerous love. The kind of love that should have stayed behind a curtain. The kind that passed through locked doors, private chambers, hidden letters, careless servants, jealous nobles, and rumors that moved faster than any messenger on horseback. We are going to talk about forbidden love affairs that could destroy a kingdom in the Middle Ages. Adultery, succession crises, court rumors, secret letters, jealous nobles, suspicious queens, lonely kings, ambitious lovers, and the frightening fact that, in a royal household, desire was never only desire. In an ordinary village, an affair might ruin a marriage. In a royal court, an affair might ruin a dynasty. That is the difference. If a peasant woman had a lover, the village might gossip, a husband might rage, a priest might assign penance, and a child's parentage might become a hard question in a small household. If a queen had a lover, the same question could become a war. Who is the father? Who is the heir? Who inherits the crown? Whose blood is legitimate? Whose oath must be kept? Whose body has betrayed the realm? These were not private questions. A royal bed was never only a bed. It was a political institution with pillows. A queen's body could carry the future of a kingdom. A king's desire could raise a favorite above great nobles. A mistress could become a gateway to patronage. A secret child could become a claimant. A rumor could make a prince seem doubtful. A letter could become evidence. A whisper could cross borders. A jealous noble could turn bedroom scandal into armed rebellion. So tonight, we will walk through the palace after dark. We will pass guarded doors. We will listen at tapestries, though only politely. We will follow servants carrying candles. We will watch messengers hide folded notes inside sleeves. We will stand in corridors where no one is supposed to notice who visits whom. We will enter the shadowed world where love, lust, dynasty, law, and gossip all share the same narrow stair. Let us begin with the royal marriage. A royal marriage in the Middle Ages was rarely only about affection. It might include affection. Sometimes it did. A king and queen might respect each other, desire each other, depend on each other, and even love each other in a way that survived politics, pregnancy, war, and relatives, which is no small achievement. But the marriage itself was often arranged for reasons larger than the couple. Alliance, peace, land, inheritance, a claim to another throne, a dowry, a treaty, the end of one war, the prevention of another. the hope that two hostile families might stop killing each other long enough to produce grandchildren. A royal wedding was a public matter. The ceremony was watched. The bed was discussed. The pregnancy was awaited. The womb became a diplomatic instrument. The first son, if born, brought relief. The first daughter, if born, brought congratulations. And then, almost immediately, new pressure. The second daughter brought tighter smiles. No children brought whispers. A queen who did not conceive became a political problem. A king who did not produce heirs became a political problem. A couple who did not share a bed became a political problem. Even affection had to serve succession. This is why adultery at court was so dangerous. Adultery made the invisible uncertain. No one could see conception. No one could watch bloodline itself enter the world. People could witness a birth, but not always trust a paternity. A queen's fidelity mattered because the kingdom needed certainty. The prince in the cradle must be the king's son, not the loveress, not the favorites, not the ambitious nobles, not the handsome knight whose name everyone says too softly. Certainty is the foundation of inheritance. Adultery turns certainty into fog, and fog is where armies get lost. Now imagine a queen's chamber, not a private bedroom in the modern sense. A royal chamber is full of people even when it is supposed to be private. Ladies in waiting, chamber women, servants, grooms, guards outside, chaplains, physicians, messengers, pages. The queen may be alone with her husband at certain moments, but the household around her notices patterns. Who enters, who leaves, who stays too long, who brings letters, who blushes, who laughs at the wrong time, who avoids another person's eyes. Court life is built from observation. A peasant village has gossip because everyone lives close. A royal court has gossip because everyone has something to gain from knowing too much. A maid sees. A page hears. A guard counts footsteps. A lady in waiting remembers. A clerk notices a gift. A jealous noble interprets everything. The walls may be thick, but the court has ears. This is why forbidden love in royal circles is almost never truly secret. It may be unproven. It may be denied. It may be disguised as friendship, service, patronage, devotion, poetry, or political alliance. But if desire changes behavior, someone will see. And once someone sees, someone will use it. Now let us speak of letters. A letter is a dangerous object. A look can be denied. A visit can be explained. A rumor can be dismissed. But a letter carries handwriting, tone, language, promises, longing, arrangements, and sometimes the ruin of everyone involved. A love letter at court might be written carefully, too carefully. My beloved friend, my faithful servant, my dearest heart, my only comfort, my lady, whose grace sustains me. People in the Middle Ages knew how to write ambiguously. Courtly language could sound romantic without being explicit. Spiritual friendship could sound tender. Political loyalty could borrow the language of love. Love could hide inside politics. But ambiguity only helps until a hostile reader has the page. Once an enemy holds the letter, every phrase becomes evidence. My only comfort becomes adultery. Come when the household sleeps becomes treason. The king must not know becomes a death sentence. Even if the letter is innocent, it can be made guilty by the right enemy or the wrong one. Imagine a servant carrying a folded note through a palace corridor. He does not know, or says he does not know, what it contains. He passes a tapestry. Another servant sees. The note changes hands. Later, perhaps, it is intercepted. The seal is examined. The letter is opened. Now the private word becomes political material. A kingdom can begin to shake from a folded page. This is not romantic in the usual sense. It is administrative terror with perfume on it. Now let us turn to one of the most famous royal sex scandals of the Middle Ages. France, 1314. The Tour de Nesle affair. The story is tangled, dramatic, and exactly the sort of thing that proves why a royal affair could never stay merely personal. King Philip IV of France had 3 sons, and those sons had wives. These daughters-in-law were accused of adultery, with the scandal said to involve secret meetings in the Tour de Nesle, a tower in Paris. The accusations were associated with Isabella of France, Philip's daughter, who was herself Queen of England. The alleged lovers were knights. The accused women were royal. This was not a tavern scandal. This was a dynastic explosion. 2 of the women, Marguerite and Blanche, were imprisoned. The alleged lovers were tortured and executed with terrible brutality. Jean, the 3rd woman, was imprisoned too, though her case was different, and she was later restored. The details vary by source and later retelling, but the scandal's political meaning is clear enough. The royal marriage bed had been questioned. If the wives of royal sons had lovers, then any children born to those wives could be suspect. And if royal children are suspect, succession becomes unstable. The scandal struck the Capetian dynasty at a vulnerable moment. Philip IV's sons would eventually die without producing secure surviving male heirs in the direct line. The dynasty's failure opened the way to succession disputes that would later feed into the larger conflict between France and England. Not because one affair single-handedly caused 100 years of war. History is not that tidy, but because sexual scandal damaged trust at the exact place where monarchy most needed trust, legitimacy. A queen or princess did not simply betray a husband. She might be imagined to have betrayed blood itself. Now imagine the tower. Whether every dramatic detail attached to the Tour de Nesle is true or embellished, the image is powerful. A tower by the Seine, night, secret arrivals. A princess hidden beneath a cloak. A knight admitted by someone who should have known better. A candle lowered, a door closed, a few hours of pleasure. Then the slow return to royal ceremony. Morning mass, formal meals, court greetings, jewels, ranks. Everything apparently normal. But an affair in such a place is never only pleasure. It leaves traces. A gift, a purse, a bracelet, a servant's memory, a repeated absence, a careless whisper, a woman seen where she should not be, a man too well dressed after midnight. The thing about royal scandals is that they often begin with something almost laughably small. A token, a glance, a pattern, a gift recognized. The body is hidden, but objects betray it. And once the accusation begins, everything is reinterpreted. The prince's coldness toward his wife becomes evidence. Her laughter becomes evidence. A knight's promotion becomes evidence. A child's face becomes evidence. A rumor becomes proof because people want it to be. This is how court scandal grows, not by evidence alone, by appetite. A court loves scandal because scandal redistributes power. A fallen princess creates space. A disgraced favorite creates enemies' satisfaction. A queen under suspicion becomes politically weak. A king made ridiculous becomes vulnerable. A noble accused of touching the wrong woman may lose not only his reputation, but his head. In the Tour de Nesle affair, desire entered the machinery of dynasty and was ground to pieces. The women were imprisoned. The men were killed. The marriages were damaged or ended. The dynasty staggered. The lesson was clear. A royal affair is never only an affair. Now let us cross to England. Here we meet Isabella of France. She is a fascinating and dangerous figure, sometimes called the she-wolf of France, which is an excellent phrase if one enjoys drama, and a terrible phrase if one wants fairness. Isabella was married to Edward II of England. Their marriage became politically disastrous. Edward's intense attachments to favorites, first Piers Gaveston and later Hugh Despenser the Younger, enraged many nobles and increasingly isolated Isabella. By the 1320s, she had been humiliated, her lands were threatened or seized, and her position became impossible. Then she went to France, and there she allied with Roger Mortimer, an exiled English nobleman. Whether their relationship began as passion, politics, survival, or all three, by 1326 they were a political pair. They invaded England with a small force, gathered support, overthrew Edward II's regime, executed the Despensers, and forced Edward to abdicate in favor of his young son, Edward III. Isabella and Mortimer then ruled through the boy king, until Edward III seized power in 1330 and had Mortimer executed. This is a love affair, if it was love. It is also a coup. This is exactly what makes it useful to our subject. At court, a lover can become more than a lover. He can become a partner in rebellion. A man with access to a queen has access to her grievance, her letters, her household, her foreign connections, her son's claim, and her public image. A queen with a lover has a weapon if she chooses to use him. But the weapon can become too visible. Mortimer's mistake was not only ambition, it was display. He and Isabella's partnership became politically intolerable once they seemed to rule through the young king. A lover who helps overthrow one king can become a threat to the next. The bedchamber has become government. That never ends quietly. Now imagine Isabella in France, separated from her husband, angry, watched, intelligent, politically experienced. A queen, but also a daughter of the French royal house. Around her gather English exiles, enemies of the dispensers, dissatisfied nobles, and men who understand that her son, the future Edward III, gives her a powerful claim to act in England's name. Roger Mortimer enters this world not simply as a romantic figure, but as a military and political actor. If there was passion, it did not float above politics. It fed on it. Two people wronged by the same king. Two people in exile. Two people with reason to risk everything. A private alliance becomes public invasion. Now imagine the English court receiving the news. The queen is not returning obediently. The queen is with Mortimer. The queen has allies. The queen has the prince. The queen is coming. This is the nightmare of royal marriage turned inside out. A queen was meant to strengthen a king's legitimacy, not carry legitimacy against him. Yet Isabella did exactly that. She came not as a mistress sneaking through a postern gate, but as a wronged queen with an army. Her relationship with Mortimer gave the scandal heat, but her political position gave it force. If she had been only a lover, she could be dismissed. If she had been only a queen, she could be negotiated with. As queen and lover, wronged wife and political actor, mother of the heir and partner of a rebel, she became something far harder to contain. A royal affair could destroy a kingdom because it could reorganize loyalty. Who does a noble follow? The king, the queen, the heir, the favorite, the lover, the man who controls the household, the woman who controls the child. A kingdom becomes dangerous when loyalty has several beds. Now let us step back and examine the role of royal favorites. Not every dangerous love affair involved a queen's adultery. Sometimes it was the king's favorite who became the scandal. A royal favorite could be a friend, lover, counselor, companion, patronage broker, or all of these in ways difficult to separate. The Middle Ages did not classify relationships exactly as modern people do. Emotional intensity between men, political intimacy, patronage, physical closeness, and sexual suspicion often overlapped in the minds of observers. Edward II's relationships with Piers Gaveston and Hugh Despenser, the younger, caused enormous political anger. Whether one uses the language of romantic love, favoritism, dependency, or something else, the political result was clear. The favorites received power, wealth, access, and royal affection. Great nobles resented them. The king's household became the center of faction. A royal favorite did not need to be sexually involved with the king to cause danger. The suspicion was enough. The access was enough. The gifts were enough. The arrogance was enough. The sense that one person had captured the king's body, ear, and judgment was enough. A king's love could destabilize the realm if it elevated someone too quickly above men who believed power belonged to them. This is the politics of intimacy. Who gets to stand near the king? Who enters the chamber? Who whispers advice? Who receives land? Who is kissed in public? Who is insulted by nobles? Who becomes untouchable because the king loves him? In monarchy, proximity is power, and love is the most dangerous proximity of all. Now let us consider the queen's perspective in such a court. If a king lavishes affection on a favorite, the queen may be humiliated, not only emotionally, but politically. Her household may lose influence. Her allies may be excluded. Her access to the king may shrink. Her ability to secure her children's future may weaken. If the favorite controls patronage, the queen's friends suffer. If the favorite insults her, her honor is damaged. A royal marriage can survive lack of romance. It cannot easily survive public humiliation. This helps explain why some court affairs mattered so much. They were not merely sexual betrayals. They changed access. Access changed power. Power changed law, appointments, land, money, and war. Now let us turn to a different kind of affair. John of Gaunt and Catherine Swynford. This is not a tale of a queen's suspected adultery. It is the story of a powerful prince, the Duke of Lancaster, son of Edward III, and the woman who became his long-term mistress and eventually his wife. Catherine was not a queen. She was connected to the court, served in noble households, and became John of Gaunt's mistress during his second marriage. They had children together, the Beauforts. Later, after the death of his second wife, John married Catherine. Their children were legitimized. Those descendants would matter enormously in English politics, especially through the Beaufort line, and eventually the Tudor claim. Here, a love affair did not immediately destroy a kingdom. It did something subtler. It entered the bloodline. The children of a mistress became legitimate, politically significant, and dynastically potent. That is the long danger of royal love. Not always scandal at once. Sometimes inheritance, decades later. A private affair produces children. Children are named. Children are raised. Children marry. Grandchildren claim. Wars of succession gather every possible drop of royal blood and ask whether it can be sharpened into a sword. The Beauforts began as children born outside marriage to John of Gaunt and Catherine Swynford. Later legitimized, they were still marked by the ambiguity of origin. That ambiguity did not prevent their descendants from becoming central to royal politics. A kingdom may not fall because a duke falls in love, but it may tremble when his descendants carry that love into a claim. Now imagine Catherine at court. She is not the highest born woman there. She is not the official wife, but she has the duke's affection. That affection brings gifts, status, access, protection, resentment. Other women see her. Nobles judge her. Enemies of John of Gaunt use her. His political opponents do not need to care about her heart. They care that she can be made into a symbol of excess, of misrule, of arrogance, of a prince placing desire above order. A mistress at court is never only a woman loved. She is a node in a network who benefits from her, who approaches the duke through her, who receives favor, who is shut out, who hates her because they hate him, who hates him because of her. The court thinks like this. Romance does not get privacy when it lives beside patronage. Now let us speak of queens accused falsely, because not every accusation was true. This matters greatly. A royal woman did not need to commit adultery to be destroyed by the suspicion of it. Rumor itself could be a weapon. If a king wanted to remove a wife, if a faction wanted to weaken a queen, if enemies wanted to discredit a prince, sexual accusation was powerful. Why? Because female chastity was tied to legitimacy. A king could have mistresses and still father legitimate heirs with his wife. A queen's alleged adultery threatened the heir directly. This double standard made queens vulnerable. A woman could be watched, enclosed, accompanied, and judged. If she was too friendly, suspicious. If she was too cold, suspicious. If she had no children, suspicious. If she had a child who resembled someone else, suspicious. If she laughed with a courtier, suspicious. If she received letters, suspicious. If she was foreign, more suspicious. If she had enemies, always suspicious. Royal court is a place where the body of a woman becomes a political battlefield. Even silence can be interpreted. Now imagine a queen who has done nothing wrong. A faction wants her weakened. A courtier says she receives a certain knight too often. A servant says he has seen a letter. A lady says she heard laughter. A rival says the prince does not resemble the king. No one has proof, but proof is not always necessary to damage reputation. The rumor begins. At first, softly. Then in corridors. Then at dinner. Then in letters. Then in foreign courts. The queen's dignity is injured. Her supporters must defend her. Her enemies claim they only seek truth. The king must either protect her or investigate. If he protects her, enemies say he is blind. If he investigates, he dignifies the rumor. This is the trap. A sexual accusation against a queen is dangerous because even disproving it can leave a stain. Now let us consider secret children. A secret royal child is one of the most politically explosive ideas in history. Sometimes the child is real, sometimes invented, sometimes rumored, sometimes used by rebels. A child born of a king's mistress may be acknowledged, given lands, married into nobility, or used diplomatically. Such children could be useful, but they could also become threats, especially if legitimate heirs failed. A child allegedly born of a queen's lover is far more dangerous. If accepted as legitimate, he may inherit a throne falsely, according to the accusation. If declared illegitimate, the succession changes. If the question remains unresolved, factions form. A baby cannot defend paternity. Adults do it for him, usually badly. Now imagine a royal birth chamber. The queen labors. Women attend. Servants wait. Men outside receive reports. When the child is born, witnesses matter. The court must know the baby truly came from the queen. In some later royal births, witnessing became almost absurdly public because rumors of substitution could destabilize legitimacy. Even in earlier periods, attendants, midwives, ladies, and household officers helped certify the event. The infant cries. A messenger is sent. Bells ring. The kingdom rejoices. But if a rumor already exists, the joy is cracked. Whose eyes does he have? Whose hair? Why was that courtier absent? Why did the queen favor him last winter? Why did the king and queen sleep apart? A kingdom can begin doubting a child before the child knows what a kingdom is. This is one of the cruelties of dynastic life. Babies are born into politics before breath is dry on their lips. Now let us turn to courtly love. The literature of the Middle Ages often praised forbidden longing. Knights adored married ladies. Lovers suffered. Desire was refined by distance, secrecy, service, and frustration. Poems and romances made adultery emotionally glamorous, even when morally dangerous. Think of Lancelot and Guinevere. The story is literary, not a court record, but it reveals an anxiety everyone understood. The best knight loves the queen, and that love helps destroy Arthur's realm. This is the perfect myth of forbidden love as political disaster. The affair is private in feeling, public in consequence. The queen's lover is not just any man. He is the king's greatest knight. His betrayal breaks the fellowship. The court fractures. Honor, loyalty, desire, and kingship tear each other apart. The story endured because it gave imaginative form to real fears. What if the queen loves another? What if the king's best man is also the rival? What if private passion corrupts public order? What if the kingdom falls not from foreign invasion, but from a bedchamber secret? Courtly literature gave beauty to danger. History gave blood. Now let us imagine a knight in a real court shaped by such stories. He knows the songs. He knows the gestures. He knows a lady's favor can be worn in a tournament. A sleeve, a ribbon, a token. These things may be innocent. They may be playful. They may be expected as part of courtly display. But display is risky. A queen giving a token to a knight can mean honor, or be made to mean more. A courtier wearing a lady's favor may seem gallant, or insolent. A husband may feel admired, or mocked. A jealous noble may see a token and decide he has been handed evidence. Objects again. A ribbon is not only a ribbon when everyone knows who tied it. Now let us talk about jealousy. Jealousy at court is not only emotional, it is strategic. A jealous husband may want revenge. A jealous noble may want to remove a rival. A jealous faction may want to expose the queen's favorite. A jealous wife may watch the mistress. A jealous mistress may watch the wife. A king jealous of his queen's attention may become dangerous. A queen jealous of a royal favorite may become political. Jealousy is private heat that seeks public tools. Court supplies tools generously. Letters, witnesses, accusations, guards, trials, imprisonment, execution. A jealous person with rank is far more dangerous than a jealous person with only tears. Now imagine a nobleman who believes another man is too close to the queen. He begins to collect signs. That man received a gift. That man was admitted late. That man bowed too familiarly. That man's sister joined the queen's household. That man has been promoted, perhaps all innocent, perhaps not. The nobleman tells another. Now they have a theory. A court theory is like a damp stain. It spreads. Soon every ordinary act confirms it. If the queen smiles, guilty. If she does not smile, covering guilt. If the man leaves court, exile by conscience. If he stays, shamelessness. Rumor is a machine that eats contradiction and produces certainty. Now let us consider royal mistresses. A king's mistress could become politically powerful. She might receive gifts, lands, influence, and access. She might intercede for petitioners. Families might seek her favor. Enemies might accuse her of controlling the king. Clergy might condemn. Queens might resent. Nobles might adapt. Some royal mistresses were loved privately, but not allowed public dominance. Others became visible enough to matter. The danger was not always sexual morality. It was influence. Who rules the king, the council, the queen, the nobles, the law, or the woman in his bed? This question appears again and again in monarchies. A mistress who merely pleases the king may be tolerated. A mistress who moves appointments becomes a faction, and factions create enemies. Now imagine a court morning. Petitioners wait. A noble wants a grant. A bishop wants support. A merchant wants protection. A soldier wants payment. A cousin wants advancement. All know that the king listens to one woman, not officially, but really. So they seek her, a gift, a jewel, a poem, a favor for her brother, a marriage for her niece. The mistress becomes a doorway. Now everyone resents the doorway, especially those not admitted. This is how desire becomes administration. Now let us examine queens who used affection politically. A queen might form close alliances with male nobles without sexual involvement. She needed support, especially if foreign-born. Her household, dowry lands, children, and political survival depended on networks. Male allies could protect her interests. Such closeness might be necessary and still become suspicious. If the queen is powerful, enemies call her unchaste. If she is weak, enemies call her useless. If she has friends, they are lovers. If she has no friends, she is isolated. Royal women were trapped between dependence and suspicion. Isabella of France shows the extreme case where a queen's alliance with a male noble, likely romantic and certainly political, brought down a king. But many queens navigated less dramatic versions of the same danger. A queen needed men who were not her husband: counselors, relatives, household officers, military supporters, messengers, confessors, patrons. But every man near her could become a rumor. This is the cost of being both powerful and female in a court that treated female sexuality as dynastic property. Now let us talk about annulment and adultery. Adultery alone was not always sufficient to annul a valid Christian marriage. This mattered. A king unhappy with an adulterous wife might seek other grounds: consanguinity, prior contract, lack of consent, non-consummation, or other canonical issues. Sexual scandal could create political pressure, but the legal machinery required proper categories. This is another form of spiritual paperwork. A king says, "My wife betrayed me." Canon law says that is not necessarily the question. The question is whether the marriage was valid. Were they too closely related? Was there a dispensation? Was consent valid? Was consummation achieved? Was there a prior vow? Did spiritual kinship interfere? The bedchamber scandal enters the law and becomes technical. A queen may be imprisoned for adultery while lawyers discuss godparenthood. This sounds absurd. It was deadly serious. Now imagine a king who needs a new wife. The old wife is accused. The court whispers. The church lawyers assemble. The king wants freedom. The pope or bishops ask legal questions. The queen waits. Her alleged lover may already be dead. The issue is not only guilt, it is whether the king can remarry and produce heirs. Again, private desire becomes dynastic procedure. Now, let us return to the Tour de Nesle. The accused princesses' marriages mattered because their husbands were the future of France. If those women could not be trusted, their children could not easily be trusted. The scandal did not only punish desire, it damaged reproductive legitimacy. A royal woman's sexuality was guarded not because medieval courts were prudish in some simple way, but because the entire succession depended on it. This is why the punishments could be savage. The lover of a royal woman was not treated like a man caught in a village affair. He had trespassed against bloodline, against dynasty, against the male honor of the prince, against the king's household, against the realm's future. The punishment needed to say, "This body touched what could not be touched." The brutality of such punishments reveals the fear underneath. Now, let us consider another danger: fabricated adultery to remove political obstacles. If a queen or noblewoman stood in the way of succession, accusing her of sexual misconduct could be useful. If her children could be declared illegitimate, another line might inherit. If she could be imprisoned, her lands and influence might be seized. If her reputation collapsed, her supporters might scatter. This makes every sexual accusation at court suspect, not false necessarily, but politically motivated. A court seldom cares about truth without also caring about advantage. Who benefits if she falls? Who gains her lands? Who marries the king next? Whose son rises? Whose rival dies? A love affair may be real, but the exposure is often political. People do not reveal scandals only because they love virtue. They reveal scandals because timing has arrived. Now imagine a lady with a secret. She believes it is hidden. It is not. A rival has known for months. The rival waits, not because he is kind, because the scandal is more useful later, at a council meeting, during a succession dispute, when the king is ill, when the queen is pregnant, when an alliance is fragile. A secret held until the right moment is a dagger kept warm. This is court politics. Now let us talk about servants again. Servants are everywhere in these stories. They light fires, carry water, make beds, wash linen, clean chambers, hold candles, deliver notes, stand outside doors, hear voices, notice stains, count absences, know when a bed has been used. The royal court pretends privacy exists. The servants know better. A lady may trust her maid. A king may trust his valet. A queen may trust her chamberwoman. A lover may trust no one enough. Servants are powerful because they see the unguarded body. They also are vulnerable because if scandal breaks, they may be accused of helping, lying, procuring, concealing, or failing to report. A queen's lady who carries a note may save a romance or destroy her own life. A page who sees a lover leave may be bribed, threatened, or questioned under oath. A laundress may know more from sheets than a council knows from letters. The court's secrets pass through the hands of the people who clean up after them. This is one reason great households are so dangerous. Too many witnesses, too little trust. Now let us imagine a chamber after a forbidden visit. The lover has gone. The candle is low. The queen or lady sits in silence. A maid enters. She sees enough. No one speaks. The bed must be arranged. A cup removed. A cloak hidden. A door barred. The maid now carries the secret in her body. Her silence has value. Perhaps she is loyal. Perhaps she is frightened. Perhaps she will sell it later. The secret has already multiplied. It no longer belongs to the lovers. This is the first law of forbidden love at court. The moment two people know, more than two people know. Now let us consider rumor crossing borders. Royal marriages connected kingdoms. A scandal in France affected England. A rumor in England reached the papacy. A queen's reputation traveled through letters, ambassadors, merchants, clerics, and noble visitors. Courts were international listening posts. Princess sent abroad carried her family's honor. If accused of adultery, her birth family was shamed too. Her children's claims might affect multiple realms. Her brothers might intervene. Her husband's enemies might seek support abroad. Isabella of France's life shows how a queen's natal family and married kingdom could become entangled. She was Queen of England, but daughter of France. Her actions in France became English crisis. Her alliance with Mortimer crossed the Channel with armed consequences. A royal woman was often a bridge between kingdoms. If the bridge caught fire, both sides felt heat. Now let us talk about the emotional truth. It is easy to discuss these affairs as politics only, but the people involved had feelings, desire, loneliness, humiliation, ambition, fear, hope. The queen whose husband preferred a favorite may have felt abandoned before she became dangerous. The prince with a mistress may have felt genuine love, not only appetite. The noblewoman accused of adultery may have been guilty, innocent, or trapped. The lover of a royal woman may have felt pride, terror, and foolish confidence. The wife displaced by a mistress may have felt grief beyond politics. The child born of an affair may have grown into power without ever escaping origin. History often records consequences. It rarely records the quiet moment before the decision. The hand reaching, the letter written, the door opened, the vow broken, the breath after. These small human moments can become large historical events only because of rank. A baker's affair ruins a household. A queen's affair may ruin a kingdom. The act may be similar. The scale is not. Now let us imagine a forbidden royal affair before it is discovered. It begins perhaps with conversation, not in a bed, in a hall, a garden, a chapel, a corridor. The courtier listens when others flatter. The queen speaks more freely than she should. A laugh, another meeting, a shared grievance, a letter, a gift, a moment of sympathy. This is how danger often begins, not with lust first, with being understood. Courts are lonely places. A queen may be surrounded and isolated. A king may be obeyed and not known. A noble may be ambitious and emotionally starving. A lady may be watched constantly, but never heard. Forbidden love often begins by offering the thing court life withholds: private recognition. You see me, you know me, you are mine in a place where everyone else wants my position. This is powerful, and at court, power attracts consequences. Now the affair deepens. Meetings are arranged, a servant helps, a token is exchanged, a letter is burned, not well enough. A rival notices. The lovers think secrecy protects them because passion makes people stupid. This is also timeless. They believe their glances are subtle. They are not. They believe servants are loyal. Some are. They believe the king does not notice. Perhaps he does not. Someone else does. They believe their love is different from all the other foolish loves that ended badly. Every dangerous affair believes this. Then comes discovery. Not always dramatic. Sometimes a letter, a confession, a servant under pressure, a jealous spouse, a gift recognized, a pregnancy, a lover found where he should not be. The moment of discovery is the hinge. Before it, the affair is private danger. After it, public crisis. Now the court must respond, deny, investigate, arrest, interrogate, torture in some places and cases, imprison, execute, annul, exile, silence, marry, legitimize, disinherit. The response depends on rank. A low-born lover of a princess is in extreme danger. A noble lover may have allies, but not enough. A queen may be protected by rank, but rank can become a gilded prison. A king may escape moral judgment, but not political resentment. The scandal becomes a problem of management. How to preserve legitimacy. How to punish without admitting too much. How to silence gossip by doing something everyone will gossip about forever. Courts are not good at making scandals disappear. They are good at making scandals formal. Now let us consider death. Some lovers paid with death. A royal woman's lover could be executed as traitor, adulterer, or violator of royal honor. The punishment might be spectacular to warn others. The woman might be imprisoned, repudiated, shamed, or removed. If she were queen, killing her might be too politically dangerous, though not impossible in later periods and other contexts. If she were a princess or noblewoman, her fate depended on family, law, and usefulness. Execution turns the body of the lover into a message. Do not touch what belongs to the king. Do not threaten succession. Do not turn private pleasure into public disorder. The spectacle is meant to close the matter. It rarely does. Punishment creates memory. The tower remains famous. The names survive. The affair enters chronicle. The dead lover becomes more permanent than he ever was in life. Now let us talk about legitimacy. The entire political danger of forbidden love can be condensed into this word: legitimacy. A legitimate child can inherit. An illegitimate child may not, unless legitimized or politically useful. A doubtful child creates factions. A legitimized child can still carry stigma. A royal bastard may become bishop, lord, general, or rebel. A child of a queen's alleged adultery may be treated as poison to the succession. Marriage produces lawful heirs. Affairs produce questions. Questions produce claimants. Claimants produce armies. This is the cold chain: desire, child, doubt, claim, war, not always, but often enough to terrify royal households. Now imagine a prince growing up with whispers. He hears them first as a child, not understanding. Then, as a boy, understanding too much. Someone says he resembles a dead courtier. Someone says his mother smiled too often. Someone says his father knew. Someone says the whole realm knows. Even if false, the rumor becomes part of him. He must rule under it, fight it, deny it, or use force to silence it. A child cannot choose his origin, but a kingdom may make him spend his life proving it. Now let us talk about beauty. Beauty at court is never safe. A beautiful woman can gain power and become a target. A handsome man can attract favor and become hated. Beauty opens doors. Then enemies ask why the doors opened. Was it merit or desire? A king's beautiful favorite may be accused of corrupting him. A queen's handsome knight may be accused of shaming him. A lady's beauty may be praised in song and used against her in court. Courtly culture idealized beauty, but politics punished its effects. This is one of the hypocrisies of elite life. Everyone admires beauty. Everyone fears its influence. Now imagine a tournament. A queen or noble lady watches. A knight bears her favor, perhaps innocent, perhaps not. The crowd cheers. The knight wins. The queen smiles. A rival sees the smile. Years later, perhaps, that smile appears in an accusation. Memory at court is never neutral. People store moments until they become useful. Now let us return to literary love and real love. In romances, forbidden lovers speak beautifully. They suffer nobly. Their desire is tragic, refined, elevated. In real courts, forbidden love involved sweat, fear, servants, pregnancy, and political consequences. The romance cleans the affair. History dirties it again. But people in the Middle Ages read and heard romances. They knew the language of secret love. A courtier might imagine himself as a lover from song. A queen might enjoy the poetry of devotion. A knight might speak in phrases learned from stories. Literature gives desire a script. That is dangerous. A man who believes he is Lancelot may forget that actual courts have guards. A woman who accepts courtly devotion may find others interpret it less poetically. The world of song and the world of succession do not obey the same rules. Now let us consider confession. Forbidden royal love was also sin. Queen with a lover, a married king with a mistress, a noble who slept with another man's wife, a courtier who deceived a lady. All could face spiritual consequences. Priests, confessors, and chaplains stood near these scandals. A queen might confess to a trusted cleric. A king might seek absolution. A lover might repent before death. The confessor could know what no council knew. But confession was sealed. This created another strange layer. The truth might be known spiritually, but unavailable politically. A priest could know the father of a child and never say. He could hear a queen's guilt and remain silent. He could hear a false accusation confessed by the accuser and be unable to expose it. Confession and politics do not fit neatly together. The soul may be absolved while the kingdom burns. Now let us imagine a queen after the affair is exposed. She is confined. The room is guarded. Her ladies have been questioned. Her lover is dead or imprisoned. Her husband will not see her. She has time now. Too much time. She thinks of the first meeting, the letter, the gift, the night, the child, if there is one. The moment she realized someone new. Does she regret the act, the trust, the carelessness, the person, the damage? History rarely tells us. It gives us imprisonment, annulment, execution, succession. It rarely gives us the sound of her breathing in the locked room, but the breathing was there. Now let us imagine the lover. A knight, perhaps. He once felt chosen. The queen looked at him. Princess trusted him. The duchess wrote to him. The affair made him larger than his rank. Now he is chained. He may be brave. He may be terrified. He may insist on love. He may deny everything. He may confess under pressure. He may discover that being loved by a royal woman is not protection once the royal household turns against him. This is the lover's mistake. He believes intimacy with power means power. Sometimes it does, until power needs him dead. Now let us talk about forgiveness. Could forbidden royal love be forgiven? Spiritually, yes, if confessed with true contrition. Politically, less easily. A king might forgive a mistress. A husband might forgive a wife if politics required it. A court might pretend nothing happened. A child might be legitimized. A scandal might be buried, but memory remains. Even when officially forgiven, the affair becomes part of the political personality of everyone involved. She was the queen who took a lover. He was the prince born of doubt. He was the duke who married his mistress. She was the mistress whose children became dangerous. The story follows the bloodline. Love leaves documents. Now let us move toward conclusion by looking at the pattern. Forbidden love at court became dangerous when it touched one or more of 5 things. First, legitimacy. Could the heir be trusted? Second, patronage. Was a lover controlling access to the ruler? Third, faction. Did the affair create a political party? Fourth, honor. Did it humiliate a king, queen, prince, husband, or noble house? Fifth, timing. Did the scandal break during a succession crisis, war, minority, rebellion, or weak reign? When all 5 gathered, the affair could shake a kingdom. If a stable king has a discreet mistress, the realm may grumble and continue. If a queen is accused of adultery while the dynasty lacks heirs, the realm may crack. If a royal favorite monopolizes the king during political crisis, nobles may rebel. If a prince's mistress produces children later, legitimized into the bloodline, future generations may fight over the meaning. Forbidden love matters because monarchy turns bodies into institutions. Now let us take one final walk through the palace after dark. The great hall is quiet. The fires are low. Servants move with candles. A guard stands near the stair. A letter is hidden inside a sleeve. A queen waits. A lover hesitates. A clerk sleeps near documents that may later decide who inherits. A child in a cradle breathes softly, innocent of every question adults will attach to him. In another chamber, a king lies awake, perhaps aware, perhaps not. A lady in waiting listens. A page sees something and looks away. Outside, the city sleeps. Inside, a kingdom is being risked for a meeting that may last less than an hour. This is the strange scale of royal desire. A touch in the dark, a rumor in the morning, a trial in the spring, an execution before summer, a disputed succession 10 years later, a war a generation after that. No one in the bedchamber thinks in centuries. They think of longing, fear, pleasure, revenge, loneliness, need. But monarchy thinks in bloodlines. History thinks in consequences. That is why forbidden love could destroy a kingdom in the Middle Ages. Not because love is always destructive, not because desire is always foolish, but because royal desire lived inside a machine of inheritance, law, honor, and power. A village affair might end in gossip. A court affair might end in a corpse, an annulment, a prison, a child declared doubtful, a queen ruined, a favorite executed, a noble rebellion, or a war fought by men who never entered the room where it began. So we leave the palace now. The corridor darkens. The letter is burned, though not completely. The servant remembers. The lover leaves by a side stair. The queen sits alone. The child sleeps. The court, tomorrow, will smile as if nothing is known. But something is known. Something is always known. In the Middle Ages, kingdoms were built on vows. Marriage vows, oaths of loyalty, promises of inheritance, declarations of legitimacy, acts of homage, sacred coronation vows. Forbidden love threatened those vows because it made one ask which promise mattered most. The promise to a spouse, the promise to a lover, the promise to a child, the promise to a dynasty, the promise to God. And whenever those promises conflicted, the court listened for the sound of breaking. Sometimes it was only a whisper. Sometimes it was a sword. Sometimes it was the door of a tower closing behind a princess whose private life had become a matter of state. Now the candles go out. The palace sleeps badly. Rumor remains awake. And somewhere, In a chamber too grand to be private, someone who should have chosen silence reaches for ink.